Go live. I hit like go live 3 times and I'm live. Okay, good. Hi everyone, welcome to StreamYard TechTalk, where we take a deep dive into live streaming technologies. You can learn from the expert streamers about what hardware, software, and tech setup they use to go live. Get your streaming tech questions ready because we're about to get started. And hi everyone, I'm here today with Marc Muehlberger. I know I didn't get that pronunciation right, so Marc, I'll let you pronounce your name for us.
Oh, hello Daniel, thanks for having me here. Well, my name is Marc Muehlberger. It's an Austrian name, that's why it's pronounced a little differently, but you got it right. You got it really good. So you know German now.
Fantastic. So Marc is our first guest for this live show today, where the goal of the show is actually to deep dive into people who have a really interesting tech setup, or tech savvy. We could call them maybe producers, show producers, and we want to understand why you set up whatever you set up, and the different technologies, how you use them, different software, hardware, lighting, all of the things, and how you use them. That's kind of the key issue, the key story for us today. So we're going to talk to Marc, who has a very, very cool setup in studio. And Marc actually specializes in studio setup and teaches it to people. So it's going to be a great conversation here. Get your questions ready, because the whole point here is to have live Q&As here, so we can answer your questions and have a discussion around this. So Marc, I'll love you first to just describe what's in your studio. Why did you what do you have set up? Why did you set it up, and what do you use it for?
Sure. Well, actually, I do a lot of video. So my background's in visual effects and film, and that's why I need a really strong computer. So the main computer I have is a Mac Pro. I used to work on a MacBook Pro for a very long time. So I have like 4 of them lying around at home, and none of them work. So that's why I just this year I bought a desktop computer. And the good thing about a Mac Pro is that you can like upgrade the RAM to as much as you want to. I have 96 gigabyte at the moment, and the more RAM you have, the more applications you can use at the same time. So that's pretty cool. And the more tabs you can open in Chrome, so that's a plus in that too. And the good thing about the a desktop computer is that you can like upgrade everything yourself, so you don't need to like send it in, or like the newer laptops, you can't like change the SSDs and stuff like that. But with this computer, it is user upgradable to yeah, it is. So so that's my computer. It's and I got a good graphic card in there, and there are 2 slots for graphic cards, so I can add a second one, a newer version too. And with that computer, I have a lot of slots to connect the peripherals, like the different cameras and the audio interfaces and the lights and all this stuff. At the moment, I have it connected to a full frame camera, which is the Canon 6D Mark II. This camera is connected via USB because it does have a HDMI output, but the problem is with that camera, it doesn't have a clean HDMI output. So even if I connect it to an Elgato Camlink or to another capture card, it will always display like the focusing boxes, which isn't that good. So that's why I connected it to USB.
So your camera allows for a USB connection. So how does that work with connecting the USB to or allowing StreamYard well, it's directly for the USB, so you don't need a cam link or anything like that. It's just as simple as that. You just plug it in, and it's recognized as a
well, it doesn't. You have to download the free Canon webcam utility software from the Canon website. It's on Mac, it's in beta now at the moment, but in Windows, it's like the full version. So it'll always work on Windows. Sometimes it is a little buggy in Mac, but it does work. And there are a lot of other ways to other software you can use to connect it to StreamYard too. So that's one way.
Great. I think we have a question here from Oliver who's talking about your RAM, but the video is still out of sync with the audio. I'm not sure if he's referring to something that he's experiencing right now, or I don't know if you or if you quite get the question here.
Yeah. So the being out of sync is not actually something that has to do with RAM. It's actually because my video takes longer to reach the computer than the audio does, because the video files are a lot bigger and the audio files are a lot smaller. So there's a workaround. I could actually choose a different audio. Just a minute. So I can choose a different audio source here. Instead of choosing the Rodecaster Pro, which is my audio interface, I could choose loopback audio, which is...
Nope, we can't hear you now. No sound. Yeah, Mark, can't hear you. I'm going to use the private chat to tell him there's no audio. There we go.
Sorry, I just turned it to a different audio source. That's why you couldn't hear me now. I was planning to switch to loopback. Loopback is a software you can get for Mac to put another audio source in there. So I just switched that. But there are different ways to add a delay to your audio. So the audio is delayed and it syncs back to the video.
Oops. And
can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine. My camera went.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I just did something. I touched a button and now.
Yeah.
Now I'm out of. Yeah, that's odd. So I'm just gonna switch to this built-in camera for now.
Okay.
Till I get this sorted out.
Yeah, about the audio delay, it's the video delay. Sorry about that. About being out of sync, you could use HDMI camera, because then if you put the audio into the camera, then both audio and video will be transferred to your computer, so that wouldn't be out of sync anymore if you connect it directly through HDMI. But you'll need a camera that has a clean HDMI output to not see the info boxes and the focusing boxes on your video feed. So that's one way to keep your video in sync.
Okay, great. So so making sure. So we talked about, and sorry, I was a bit distracted there with my camera issues there. Okay, so we talked about your video setup and your audio. Now you have a Rodecaster Pro. So what is that? That's an audio management device, right? Between your mic and your computer. Why do you need a device between those two and not just connect the microphone right into your computer?
Yeah, well, because there are different ways to use a microphone with your computer, and some people connect it to the camera and then add that to the and connect that through HDMI to the computer. But the problem is the preamps in the camera are really, really bad. And if you use a USB mic like the Blue Yeti, I have a Blue Yeti too, but I never use it. It's over here. The problem with a USB mic is you can usually only use one of them. So if you're having guests or you want to use multiple microphones at the same time, then you can't do that with a Blue Yeti. So that's why I'm using an audio interface like the Rodecaster Pro, and I have a few others here. But the main reason is that I can get a better audio quality out of it. And I can add something like an inline preamp, like this thing over here. This is a cloud lifter. I don't know if you can see it. And this thing just amplifies the signal that's coming out of your microphone and amplifies it before it gets into your audio interface. So that's pretty good to get rid of the noise, the ground noise, the noise from the microphone itself, and the noise from the preamps. So you don't have to pull up the volume all that much, the gain. It gets rid of that because you don't have to turn it up all that much. So that's another reason why I use the Rodecaster Pro, because I can plug in XLR devices and and have more control over everything.
Got it. Okay. Now you mentioned back to camera. So you mentioned you have a camera that doesn't have a clean HDMI output.
Yeah.
And do you have? So are you using? What's the reason to use one of those? Is it just because that's the camera you've owned for a while, or do you prefer it, even though it doesn't have a clean HDMI output, and you have to do this workaround?
Yeah, so I was planning to get a camera with a clean HDMI output. Okay, there's a question there. I'll get back to your question later, Stefan. The reason why I'm using that camera is that it's a full frame camera, and it has a full frame camera has a big sensor, so it's really good in bad light. And this is a camera I own, so I have like about 7 different cameras, and most of them are full frame cameras because I'm a photographer too. And these are the cameras I usually use for filming and for taking pictures, and the quality is like really good. And I have a lot of lenses I can connect to it. So the main reason why I'm sticking to that old camera is because it just works. And there are newer cameras that are like mirrorless and are also full frame, but the problem is they overheat a lot faster. So the old DSLR cameras are a lot bigger. They have like a bigger casing, which means they can they can work with a lot more heat because the cooling is a lot better. And with the smaller mirrorless cameras, you have like a very, very small casing, and it gets hot a lot faster, and that just reduces the image quality, and sometimes it just shuts off. So the main reason I'm using like the older camera is because it doesn't overheat that fast, and I've been streaming for 8 hours straight without any issues at all. Once Canon or any other company gets that makes like better cameras that don't overheat all that much and all that fast, then I'll be switching to a mirrorless camera surely in the future too.
Great. And
Yeah,
Stefan was
yeah.
asking here about the Yeti mic, and a lot of people use the Yeti. I have one right here as well. Now you have a Yeti and the Rodecaster or a Rhodes, one of the Rhodes mics, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about mics. What is the best mic to use in which setting?
Sure. Okay, there are 2 different kinds of microphones you can use, or actually 3 different kinds. But the 2 different kinds of microphones that I usually use is one, a condenser microphone, and my main microphone is a condenser microphone called the Rode NTG3. It's a film mic, so I've been using them in film sets myself. It's just a pretty good mic. I like the sound of it a lot. And this is a mic that needs phantom power, so you need to like plug it into an audio interface that can power it up, unless you have one with batteries. And there's another microphone what I use. This is my backup mic, and this is the Rode Procaster. So the Rode Procaster is a dynamic microphone, and the good thing about dynamic microphones is usually you keep them near your face, so you always have them in the screen. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind. But a good thing about the dynamic microphones is if you put it like a little farther away, you can't hear it all that much, which means it shuts off like all the noise all around you. And that's pretty cool if you want to get rid of background noise. So use a dynamic microphone like the Rode Procaster or the Rode Pod mic. The Pod mic is like the cheaper version. You can get a Pod mic for about $100. It's also from Rode, and you can like plug it into an audio interface. You don't have to get the Rodecaster Pro. You can get like a cheaper audio interface like the Behringer Euphoria 202 HD, which is this one over here. Just a minute. So this is like the Behringer Euphoria. And this thing costs $50, about $50. And you can get one for $30 too, with just one input. That's a Behringer UMC 22. And it doesn't really matter which one I use at the moment, but the Rodecaster Pro has a lot better preamps. So that's why I'm using the Rodecaster Pro in combination to that. So back to your question, which microphone do I recommend for you? Well, it depends on your on where you're recording. So if you're recording at home and it's really, really loud everywhere, then it will probably be better for you to get a dynamic microphone, like the Rode Pod mic or something like this, the Rode Procaster, which costs about $150 to $180. You'll need to get the cable, the XLR cable with it, because it doesn't come with a cable. I recommend the Mogami cables because the Mogami cables are shielded, so you don't have any frequency and interferences and all that stuff, because they're really good. They're really good balanced and shielded cables. They cost about 3 times as much as a normal cable, but the usual cables only cost about $10. So a Mogami cable costs about $40 or $30, but it's totally worth it. So I have them on my microphones. They're like little black cables, gold plated and all this stuff. And so if you, just to back to your question, so if it's pretty loud and noisy where you are, it's always good to choose a recording room or recording place to record your videos there where you don't have that much background noise, but sometimes you can't do anything about it because, you know, like sometimes they're like kids playing or your dishwasher's running. Like I live in the kitchen, so this room where I'm in is like a very small room. We live in a small apartment in Linz. It's a city in Austria, and usually there's like the dishwasher running and the washing machines running, and the kids are playing outside. So I need a microphone that blocks out all the background noise. So there's two ways to do that. There's one way you just get one of these microphones and keep it near to your mouth. So the nearer it is to your mouth, the better, because but keep it to like about 48 inches away. And then it will block out most of the noises far away, because you don't have to turn up the mic all that much. You don't have to turn the volume and the gain up all that much, because it's nearer to you. And so that's one way to get rid of background noise, get one of these mics. And another way is just to do it per software. So the Rodecaster Pro comes with noise reduction, which is pretty cool. So you just have to turn that on, and it cuts out like certain frequencies. Frequencies like it's like a high pass lets high frequencies in, and then cuts out some of the low frequencies like handling noise and like summing noises and all that stuff. So that's a reason to get a dynamic microphone. I can switch to dynamic microphones if you want to hear how it sounds like.
Yeah, let's illustrate this now. That'll be awesome. We could just give a little demonstration.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is the Rode Procaster. I switched by just putting one slider down, the other slider up. So you can do that on the Rodecaster Pro, so that's pretty cool. So I can like just switch to different mics in seconds, which is pretty cool. If I want to choose different mics. And the reason why I have so many microphones is because I'm teaching this stuff. So I have I think I have 13 to 18 microphones here. And
wow.
when I teach this stuff, I show different microphones. So this is like the Rode Procaster, and you can hear it sounds a little different. One tip on the Rode Procaster: don't speak directly into it, because you'll have that P noises and plosives and all this stuff. The B and P sounds, you hear all of that. So there's one way to get rid of it. There's something called a pop filter. So it's actually like this thing here. You can make one yourself out of a stocking. So if you have a stocking at home, or just
and now you're speaking away from the mic, and it's very noticeable how the volume decreased.
Yeah,
right?
so that's the problem with these microphones. That's why I don't like using them that much. I can't move around. But if you have one, don't speak directly into it. Keep it a little bit to the side, or use one of these pop filters. And since we're about dynamic microphones, I just have another tip. If you're using a dynamic microphone, you'll need a lot of power. So you'll need a lot of gain. You'll have to turn it up a whole lot. And that's a big problem, because you'll hear a lot of the noise coming from the microphone itself, the electrical noise. So one way to get rid of that is to get something like a cloud lifter or a Triton Audio Fethead. Triton Audio is a company that makes this inline preamps, and this is one from called a cloud lifter. It's not from Triton Audio. It's just a cloud lifter. So this is another company. And the main difference between those two is like the Triton Audio Fethead, you can stick it directly into the mic. And with this one here, with a cloud lifter, which costs a lot more, you need two microphone cables, two XLR cables. So that'll cost you a lot more too. So that's one way to increase the signal or amplify the loudness of your dynamic microphone. They also make one for condenser microphones. Let's just get to the condenser microphones now. So my condenser microphone, the one I use most, is a Rode NTG3, which is a film mic. There's a Rode NTG1, NTG2, 3, and 4. And those are usually used on a boom pole. So like when they're filming something, you usually have them on a pole, and they're facing it directly to the actor or talent. So that's the microphone I use most, and my favorite microphone. I'll just switch to it now. So can you hear me well?
Great. This is wonderful. Yeah.
This is the Rode NTG3, my favorite microphone. I like it a lot. It's so cool, and I have it connected to a Mogami cable to my Rodecaster Pro, and it's like one of my favorite microphones, because it does block out background noise too, because it has a cardioid pattern, polar pattern, which means it's like a heart shape. It's like it's going like in front of the mic, and it doesn't pick out sound from the back or from the sides all that much. It usually picks up sound from the front. So cardioid polar pattern microphones are the best ones for voice, for like our specific situation. So like with a Blue Yeti, you could turn it to a cardioid setting, and then you have to turn it to like face yourself from the front of it. So that's one way to increase the like if you have a Blue Yeti. There are different polar patterns you can use. On the backside, you can switch the polar patterns. And if you turn it to the cardioid polar pattern, which is like an upside down heart shape, or it looks like a little butt, if you turn it to that, then it picks up sound from the front side let's just turn it over here. So it's like over here. So that's where the sound comes from. So one way to increase the sound quality of a Blue Yeti is to speak into the front of it. So you can see the front where the blue icon is. That's the front of the Blue Yeti. So just turn it like this and turn it to cardioid, and then you'll get a lot better sound and keep it near to your mouth, like you're doing right now. You have the blue arm, like this one over here, right? So we have the same one. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And I saw on your Facebook cover picture you had the Rode PSA 1 arm too. So like this one over here, right? You had that before?
I had that before, yeah.
Yeah.
And I switched to the Yeti because I frankly because of cost, because the Yeti was $199 with the arm, and I figured I'll try a new one instead, and the difference in quality is huge. Now, I also have a podcast, so maybe just to summarize the whole, you talked a lot about mics, so maybe we can just give a final or the actual bottom line. If you're going live in a good studio and you're repurposing for a podcast, what would be the best mic? A dynamic or a what's the other type? The
condenser mic.
Condenser mic.
Okay.
So which one should one choose?
Yeah, so it always depends on your environment, if it's loud or not. So if you're in a studio yourself, I myself like condenser mic a lot because the condenser mic have a wider, they give you more like information, let's just say, like to keep it simple. The condenser mic are if you have the amount of information or frequencies that are coming through, like the condenser mics have give you a lot more, and they give you a lot more of your voice than the dynamic mics do. So for singing, you can use a good condenser mic for that. But if you do a podcast, I prefer the condenser mics. But most people use the pod mic, which is called pod mic because it's used for podcasts, and that costs like $99. And this is the big brother. That's the Procaster. So, and if you want to spend a little more money, you can get the Shure SM7B, which is the one that a lot of singers use actually. And that costs about $400, and that's a really good quality too. But you'll need an inline preamp to plug that up. So yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take a couple of questions here for on mics, and then we can maybe move to another topic. I see Spencer is asking if there's a comparison table. I think that's a great idea. Where it's like, okay, what situation are you in? What mic do you need? Do you know of any such table?
Yeah, well, I actually have, I'm building a quiz at the moment where you can plug in your, you can answer a few questions, what's your recording environment look like, or are you moving around while recording, or are you in a fixed studio? Because, just a minute. Because I got this thing here, I just bought that last week. This is one for if you're on stage. This is actually one of those stage mics where you can put on your head. And it's really good. It's not that bad. It's the PGA 31, but actually one of the PGA 35 was out of stock. And this is a mic from Shure. So this is the transmitter, and there's also a receiver, and you just plug it into XLR to your Rodecaster Pro or any other interface. And actually, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good microphone for if you're moving around a lot. So a lot of my students in in the academy, they do gardening or maybe they do yoga, and you'll need one of those microphones that can be wirelessly transmitted. To your audio interface, so you can move around. Because the problem with especially these microphones that you have in your studio, if you move farther away from it, you can't hear yourself anymore. And most people use lavalier mics. So this is my tip for people that want to buy a lavalier mic. I use these over here. Just a minute. This is the Rode Wireless Go. So this is one of my favorite lavalier mics, and you can put it in your shirt, or just put a necklace and just hang it in there. And they have a built-in microphone, which is pretty cool. So I don't know if you can see it here. This is the microphone on the Rode Wireless Go, and it's really, really cool. So all you need to get if you buy this, you need a TRRS cable, because there are TRS cables and TRRS cables. And the main difference between the 3.5 millimeter TRS cables and the TRRS cables are the rings, the amount of rings. So if you want to connect it to your smartphone, you'll need a TRRS cable, because one of the parts over there. Just a minute. I have one over here. Okay, this is a TRS cable. Can you see it? Just a minute. I'll just have to cover my eyes so the autofocus.
Out of focus on this particular camera.
Great. Okay.
So yeah, there we go.
Thank you. Yeah, so it has like 1, 2, 3 rings, right? And the normal ones have like 2 rings. The ones with 2 rings, you can connect them to your camera, because some people try to connect this one to the camera and it doesn't work because it has 3 rings. So the ones with 3 rings are for your smartphone. So that's the main difference. If you want to connect your wireless mic to your smartphone, you'll need a wireless mic with a TRRS 3.5 millimeter plug. And there's like the Rode lavalier mic that's Lav Plus, which you can use for that. But the problem with the Rode lavalier mics are I don't like the place where you stick it in. So the clip is like really flimsy on the Rode lavalier mics. I recommend the Shure MVL, which is also a lavalier mic. It costs about $40, but it's a pretty good lavalier mic if you want to use one of those, or just use the Rode Wireless Go. And they're very, very small. You can plug it into USB-C, so you can charge it while you're recording. And they last about, I think it's like 8 to 20 hours. I don't know, but they're cool. So just to sum it up, if you're moving around a lot, use like one of these, like the Rode Wireless Go or a lavalier mic, but you'll need a transmitter and a receiver, or like one of these headsets. And if you are in your studio, you can use either a condenser mic. Like there's a very cheap condenser mic that my wife uses, one of those. It's one of these. This is the Rode M3. So it's very, very similar to the Rode NTG3, very, very similar, but it costs only about $80. So that's like one of the cheaper options if you don't have a big budget. So and that's a condenser mic. So yeah, so I don't know. Did I just yeah?
So much information.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said that.
No, it's great. This is the kind of show where we just go crazy, geeky, and all the stuff. So this is
cool.
This is for anybody out here with us who is a geek. This is the show for you. It's like a streaming geek. This is the show for you. So we want to get into these kind of stuff. It's a first show, so I'm trying not to go too deep in one topic. It's the first episode, but we'll definitely go deep dive into more as we move along through the next episode. One last episode on audio. One last question. Salma's asking, she has a red Yeti. I haven't heard of the red Yeti. Is there a difference between the blue and the red that you know of?
Well, Blue has different kinds of Yeti microphones. There's also the Yeti Pro and the Yeti X, and probably also the Yeti Red. But I haven't tried the Yeti Red yet, but they're all very, very similar. So there's not really a big difference between the different Yetis and even the Snowball. It's just actually nearly always the same microphone, but sometimes they have like a more pickup microphone things inside. And also with the Rode Yeti Pro, you can like stick it into XLR, which the others don't have. So that's a cool feature. But I don't know the Rode I don't know the Red Yeti. I haven't tried it yet, so I have to test it myself to see if it's like better or worse than the normal Yeti. The problem is with the Yetis, I don't really like the Yetis all that much. So if you like they pick up a lot of room noise, and you have to like keep it like near you and all this stuff. And it's usually a USB microphone. Blue does have XLR microphones too, but those are a lot of reasons why I don't like the Yetis all that much. So I don't know. I can't really answer that question without testing the mic myself. So I can only give you like info when I've tested the mic myself. But I'll probably order it sometime so I can test it out.
Fair enough. And I just did want to bring up a little tip of my own. So I use an ATM Mini Pro ISO. I think the Mini has it as well, but in the software you can actually manipulate the audio and put a gate on it, or put you can basically change the audio settings so you can filter out any background noises and so on, which I do because I have the fan on my laptop will just go crazy when I'm live streaming, and so I use that, and you can play with the settings. So there are also little tricks that you can do around the audio when you have a mic that's maybe not absolutely perfect. And I see a lot of people are commenting and have lots of strong opinions or emotions around different microphones. Somebody said here in the comments, at the end of the day, audio is a personal, very personal decision.
That's true. That's true.
Like,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. It is, but sometimes it's also good to like choose the right microphone for the right purpose, and to choose a recording environment so you don't need to like fix things later on. So it's always like with video itself, it's the same thing. If you try and get the best quality out of the recordings itself, like out of the microphone without fixing without changing it later on. It's because my Rodecaster Pro, I actually do have stuff turned on like noise removal and all this stuff, but actually it's always better to like have the get the best quality out of the recording itself by using the right gear and position it correctly, because positioning is great. Is really like big thing, like where you put the microphone, also depending on the tonal pattern and how you treat your room. So a lot of people are like putting sound panels up or bass traps in the corners and all this stuff to like make the sound better, or with like blankets in the room and bookshelves. So there's a good ways to like improve the sound of your room, and also use a microphone that isn't that good, but just improving the sound before it goes into your computer.
Yeah, a couple more questions here. I want to sort of transition into other topics. So we've got Vicky, and this is a bit of a different topic, but it's relevant. She's asking about the subtle looking Facebook comments on the screen. So I think she means the theme or the branding I chose here. So in StreamYard, if you go into branding, you can pick the default or the minimal. If I choose default, it just changes the way the comments look. So I can, it looks this way. And then I chose the minimal this time, even though I typically actually like the default. But for today, I knew the comments there are going to be a lot of comments, so I chose the minimal. And so that's how you do it, just a switch of a toggle there. We had another question here about, I mentioned the ATM, and you were talking about audio, and I wanted to bring that up. Here we go. Is it possible, from Bill, is it possible to use an ATM Mini Pro and StreamYard and a Rodecaster Pro to live broadcast?
Well, sure, it's possible. It is, yeah. So the ATM Mini Pro, you can like choose that as a video source, I guess, and the the Rodecaster Pro, you choose that as an audio source. So with StreamYard, you can like if you click on the of the cogwheel on the settings wheel, you can choose your audio source and your video source. So what I'm doing is like I choose the Rodecaster Pro as my audio source. Unless I want to delay the mic, then I'll need a software that does a virtual microphone. And when I have a virtual mic to delay the mic, because the Rodecaster Pro doesn't do that, you can like you can choose that as an audio source instead of the Rodecaster Pro. So depending on the audio source you choose, that's the audio source you're going to be using. You can always like plug things together and use like I said with the virtual mics. If you want to like plug in an equalizer before they sound like reaches StreamYard, you can like change your voice a little bit if you want to before it reaches StreamYard. And I guess the good thing about the Atom Minis and the Atom Mini Pro is like you can like use DaVinci Resolve, which is pretty good, and like the Fairlight, and the different plugins, you can like change the picture too before it like goes into your stream. So that's pretty cool.
Great. Okay, so there was lots there about audio. I know a lot of people have questions about cameras, but I want to make sure we talk about something actually different today before we get to cameras. And if we can talk about that today, great. If not, tune in, guys, for next week. But I want to talk about iPads, because I've seen you use an iPad with the on StreamYard, and a lot of and it seems so cool. So I wanted to ask you, okay, how do you hook up the iPad? And then what is the point of connecting the iPad? What do you use it for? And I'm going to let you take it from here.
Okay, so I use the iPad as a digital whiteboard, so that's the main reason I'm using my iPad. So if I want to explain concepts, I just plug my iPad in, and there are different ways to plug it into StreamYard. You could like do a screen share. Like if you can open, if you're on a Mac, you can like open QuickTime and then do like the screen sharing on QuickTime. I think it's called screen sharing, and then you can like put it in the screen, and then you can like screen share that into StreamYard. And there are different ways. You can also like do you can do like you can add the iPad as a second monitor, and you can like choose that monitor as the picture for StreamYard if you want to, by screen sharing it, of course. And or you can use an app. So I can show you like how it looks like if like because Daniel, I promised you like a birthday picture, right? So let's just turn on my iPad and just put it back on screen, and let's just can you see me here? So this is me and my iPad, and let's just see if I can like find Daniel. And Daniel likes the gear and tech and all that stuff, and he has pretty cool green hair. So what I do is I can like draw you over here. So let's just do like this is your hair, and then like this. And actually one of my jobs in the offline world, because I have like 5 different businesses, and one of them is like drawing people on weddings and on special events. So I like draw people and make them laugh. And the good thing about that is it's a lot of fun, and you get good food, and so and I only need about 2 minutes to like draw a person. So let's just draw Daniel over here, and I can like zoom in and oh, you have pretty cool glasses. Okay, let's just do like your glasses. And so this is Daniel, and let's just see. Maybe we'll just draw you and like on your desk, and you're like here.
Oh wow, I should do this, I guess.
I'm shaking a bit because I'm pretty nervous today, being on your stream. Thank you very much for inviting me here.
This is awesome. Yeah, and I should take a screenshot of this.
Sure.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'll definitely use the recording.
So wait, I'll do like I'll do some bunny slippers over here. So you got bunny slippers on there, and then I'll make you like your favorite chair, right? So you're like on your desk, and the good thing about digital is you can like erase stuff and move things around. So this is like your desk over here, and this is like your keyboard, and then you got your monitor over here, and I'll just make this a little smaller so you can like see it. And keyboard, then you got your ATM Mini over here, ATM Mini, and then you got like you probably got your I saw you got a Stream Deck, so that's your Stream Deck over here, and you're doing like this peace sign. I don't know.
Great. And since you mentioned Stream Deck, I'm just going to hit this button here.
Yay! And you got a camera, right? What camera are you using, Daniel? What's your main camera, Dan? Which one are you using at the moment?
Oh, I'm using the Sony Alpha 6600, right? Whichever it is. Yeah, I think it's 6000.
Oh, cool. And I just saw your you have indirect lighting, like you're facing the light to your ceiling, right? On one of your pictures. Are you still doing that?
Yeah. So I could zoom out here and show it. But you don't see the lighting. But I've got 2 lights set up. I've got one on the right, one on the left here, and I've got the window natural light coming in from this angle. So and then I've got indirect lighting. I just have like a cheap IKEA light that shines up on the ceiling, just an LED light that just floods the ceiling. And I find that's the best kind of lighting because it mimics the natural light, just bouncing off the walls and ceilings. And so without that, it really doesn't give that natural illumination. You just see like a very flashy on the face. And I just bought the key light, which allows me to do, where is it? Here. In here, allows me to control it remotely, so I can play around here and just do these kind of things and see what's the best look. And that'll change through the time of day. Wow! So you animated that too. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's sure. So you can see how it's animated.
Great. So we got a few questions about this. So one is, first of all, somebody was asking about Sidecar. Were you using Sidecar or were you using Duet? Here we go. Tristan's asking, like, how did you hook up the iPad and have it show up on the screen, essentially?
Okay, there are different ways to do that. I myself I'm using like software called what's called Ecamm, because but it's it's actually you can use different softwares together. So I'm using that at the moment, but you can like connect it to Duet Display too. But Duet Display actually yeah, you could connect it to Duet Display too. I have Duet Display too, so that would work. Or you can like I said before, you can like use a QuickTime player and just like show the screen of the iPad with QuickTime, because QuickTime connects directly, because it's from Apple, like to the iPad, and you can like show your screen, your iPad screen on the QuickTime screen on your desktop, and you can like use do just a screen recording. You just share your screen on StreamYard, and you can like show that too. So that's another way to do that. And there are like, I don't know, there are like different other apps, but I haven't used the other apps yet. But that's like how I'm doing it at the moment.
Yeah, and so the drawing you mentioned, did you mention a drawing program on the iPad that you were using? Is it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like anyone?
That's Procreate. It's I can
Okay.
use any program if I want to, but Procreate allows me to like show the different steps. So it does the screen recording of the whole thing, and you can like put it back. You can like play it back, so that's pretty cool. So when I have like a drawing gig sometimes, and then I draw digitally. I give them like the drawing. They can like put it on. They can put it on. Yeah, it's Procreate. They can put it on their T-shirts, something like that. They can like print it out because it's the digital file, and they can also get the video, and they can also like play the video if they want to. So that's a cool thing about Procreate. You can like you can export both kind of things, like the movie file, and also the uh, the file itself, the PNG or the JPEG.
Great. I'm not sure who wrote this or who they're referring to, but thank you.
Oh, cool. Who is that? Okay.
Somebody who didn't authenticate and then didn't give StreamYard permission to see who they are. So there's somebody in the Facebook group. We'll have to look them up later and see.
Cool. Yeah, write your name in the comments so I know who you are. That's cool. Hello.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and okay, so we have so it looks like I'm not sure if these questions that came in with a slight delay or not, but so yeah, so Mark just explained it. It's essentially the different ways to do this. It's through basically screen sharing and using an app on your iPad and screen sharing the iPad as a second screen, or you used, in this case, Ecamm to essentially create a virtual camera and combine both you and the iPad in one screen.
Yeah. So I could do like this and add this as a picture in picture. Oops, sorry. I'll just do that again. So just a minute. Let's just see if yeah. So I can do like stuff like this. So that's one thing I can do, and I can like do my drawing tutorials, or sometimes like explaining stuff like how I set everything up and where I place my camera and all that stuff, and I can like just have my iPad there, and I'll be drawing on my iPad, and then I have my face like near the iPad. That's a fast way to like record your courses. So if you set everything up beforehand and you like put your intro slide and the music and all those things, and use the Stream Deck to like press the buttons to like play the intro, or just switch scenes so it like plays it by itself, then you can like record a whole course video or course lesson in like 10 minutes, and you don't have to edit it later on. So that's like a quick hack to like quickly create content.
Yeah.
And then you can like send it to like an app to like do the transcriptions, the subtitles and all this stuff, and then you can repurpose it for different channels too. So yeah, so I'll just remove this now, so I'm on the screen again.
Awesome. Well, that's a great
Yeah.
trick. And if you've got a Mac, then the iPad just works in Sidecar. It just works as a second screen. So it's great. And there are other things you can do with the iPad as well. So for some people who have the iPad, the camera set up in a tripod far away, right? Then, like in my case, a lot of us will put the camera closer up on a boom, like I did here. For some people, they put it up in a tripod further back, and then you want to look into the camera. And so if you're looking at the screen, you'll be looking down like this while the camera is up there, right? And so to compensate for that, you can put the iPad mounted on top of the camera as a second screen, and basically using Sidecar and put StreamYard on the iPad, and that way you look into the camera. So if you've got those issues, you can also use it as a um, what do you call those? The teleprompter. So those teleprompter apps as well you can use. So they're different tricks. So yeah, iPads can be really awesome. They're kind of expensive though.
Yeah, but this one, the one I have here, it's thank you, Stefan. I have an iPad Mini, and they cost about $300 to $400. So you can get one of those, and they're not that expensive at all. And you can also use it as a second camera if you want to. So I'll just switch to my iPad Mini now, and I'll just turn on. Oops, sorry. Wait just a minute. Turn on the camera. So I have a teleprompter on here. So this is like the teleprompter. Oh, if you want to see my setup, this is the Mac Pro. So I got that over here. This is the Rodecaster Pro. Hello, Rodecaster Pro. And I got the key lights over here. So there's one over here and one over here. This is my main light. So one light should always be more dominant, and that's the key light actually. Weirdly enough, they call them key lights in Elgato, but the key light is actually the main light. And then I have here a fill light over here, which just fills in the shadows a little bit. But and this is my like a widescreen monitor, and then I have like all the different stuff. Like my Stream Deck is back there. I don't really use it all that much now at the moment today, but this is like how I set everything up. And then I got another camera over here, and a whole lot of cameras on the floor, which I just pull out when I need it. So I'll just
wow.
just minute.
Yeah, and you're a slightly different use case because you mostly teach people rather than produce shows for others.
Yeah.
So maybe, but I still want to take a look at your monitor if that's okay with you to see, okay, what do you have set up on your monitor while you're doing a show like today? Have you got, what windows do you have open there? What softwares are you using concurrently while you're doing a show like this?
Okay. Well, I don't have that much open actually. I only have I set up my overlays in beforehand. So if I'm like teaching or doing a show, I just put the overlays in there before, and I can like turn the overlays on if I want to. So like this overlay over here, you can do that in StreamYard, just set up depending on your plan, I think. So I can like show the like my workspace how it looked before. So I just have to turn it on. And sometimes when I'm on a Zoom call and I have to go to the toilet or something like that, I can like turn on like a picture of me where I'm just standing still and not doing anything and thinking. So it looks like I'm there, but actually eating something. So that's one good thing to do. So all you have to do is like make an overlay. I make a screenshot, and so that's how I set up. And I can like do different a timer and stuff like that, and all those things. Like you can do that in StreamYard. Just put a timer on the screen. But what I also do is like I have text, and I can like if I'm talking like about the TRS cable, then I can like put TRS in the screen, and those are just like overlays and stuff like that. So set it up in StreamYard beforehand before you go live, and just go through the whole thing. When I'm doing a lesson, I go like let's just see. Okay, so I just open stuff up like this. So 5 tips for recording using your smartphone when not feeling yourself, and then I can turn that off, and then I have like the different things over here. So if you prepare that beforehand, then you have your points which you can talk about. You don't need like the post-it notes where you're like picking up placing the post-it notes beside your camera. You can like put them on the screen, just talk about them while they're on the screen when you're teaching, if you're planning to teach. So I'll just remove that now. And I also have like you can also add intros, like you can add movie files and all that stuff. So yeah, so this was pretty weird because this is from Camtasia actually, and I liked it so much. But the problem is Camtasia doesn't export the alpha channel, which means the transparency. So I had to put it into Premiere and Final Cut and remove like the background manually by using masks. So that was really weird. But I got to keep the intro, the lower third here.
Yeah, and a little tip that Leo Mendel told me, and he's going to be our guest next week, is that you can actually use animated GIFs as banners in StreamYard, and you can do all of these kind of really cool animations yourself. Really, really simple. So yeah, I love what you did there, and it's and that really takes it to a whole new level. We will be having a couple more themes in StreamYard coming soon, so that'll be pretty cool. Yeah, some really cool stuff, and we're working more on this sort of the the aesthetics and the visuals. So we're trying to create a few more unique views and some really interesting stuff there. So that'll be something to watch out for. Yeah, let's see. There are a couple of questions here. I have an issue with videos. Can we please have a way to unmute guests when a video is playing? Okay, yeah, that's a feature request from Mark. Yeah, I know it's I know that's a popular request. If you join our town hall meetings on Sunday nights, you'll see that you're not the first one to ask for this. It's on the road. I think it's on the roadmap. I don't have a date for it, but it's yeah, definitely something people talk about. And when we talk about multiple guests and muting, I did want to comment on something you said before, and that is all of these banners and overlays and stuff. It's really easy technically to do, but it's amazing how it takes a bit of practice to get them right in your own show. So the first or second time you're doing a show, which is different than maybe a different show you've done before, it's confusing. Not because of the technical stuff, just because you have to get organized and know the order of things. And okay, when I play that intro video and I come out of the video, should I be and what layout should I be on? And all of these things. Oh yeah, I just need to push a button. But it's these little things that take effort and thought. We got a bunch of other comments here. Let's see. Control Mark. For Mark again. Control panel shows that guest muted themselves and a video is playing. Yep. So that's the same topic, and also just more clearly showing who's muted, who isn't, those kind of stuff. Yeah, we're working on all of these things. Yeah, a bunch of people are commenting about Ecamm and OBS Studio, and yeah, those are definitely more complicated softwares that some people use for some more producers use, and oftentimes use alongside StreamYard. We do this as well in my personal show called Subpellucid, which I do with my friend Chad, and we have one coming up tonight, and he produces the content in OBS, but we stream it through StreamYard with a virtual cam. What else are we seeing here? StreamYard has changed my whole life. Thanks, Vicky. Appreciate that. Okay. Is there a way in StreamYard to produce shows as a host off-screen? I think the answer is yes, because I can. Another thing I wanted to bring up is that you can have multiple people log in with your own account on StreamYard. So I had Mark come in today as a guest, with the invite button, and I just gave him a link to join in with his own account, which gives him certain permissions. He can't control the layouts, etc. But next week I'm gonna have Leo on, and he's going to log in through my account, so he can actually control. He has the same exact permissions as I do. So he will be able to show comments, change the layouts as he goes, share screen, do whatever he wants. I won't be able, and so we just decided it'll be easier for him to show what he wants to show that way. So you can do that too. So you can play around with permissions that way. Yeah. Now we're into the feature requests, and Christian is actually clarifying that to communicate with one another, you want to use the private chat, right? So there's that, of course. So you don't want to talk over somebody, you'd use the private chat. Thanks, Christian. Yeah, I'm not sure about this comment. I don't know if you know what this means, Mark. WebM.
Okay.
Format.
Yeah, I think what he's asking is actually to support transparency on your video. So you could like I did before with the lower third, that it's the overlay, the animated overlay, but you could do that with GIFs actually, Ernie. So if you export your file as a GIF, then you can add it to StreamYard, and GIF support transparency too. So just use Premiere to do that, or you can, like, if you have Final Cut, you can download Compressor, which is a program that gives you more export settings, export possibilities with Final Cut Pro X. or in Premiere, it's like in media encoder inside, just export with an alpha channel too. Just export a GIF with, and you're good to go.
Fantastic. Okay, we have we're almost at the hour here, which is and you gave a tremendous amount of information. I noticed there were lots of questions about cameras. So
I could give you a few hints, a few tips on cameras or lights if you want to.
Within like a couple of minutes, and guys, if you want to know more about cameras, tune in again for the show in the future. But yeah, why don't you give us a couple of tips on which camera you're using again, because there are people who joined in late, and then maybe some tips on cameras in general.
Okay. So when I choose a camera, I usually choose a camera with a big sensor. So not a lot of people look at that. Like the webcam has like a tiny sensor, and your cell phone has a tiny sensor, which means like everything is like in focus. So the front to the back is like more in focus. They do have software where you can like blur the background, but the best way to blur the background is to get a camera with a big sensor and get a lens with a large aperture. The aperture is the hole in the lens. So if you get a lens and you look into the lens, there's like a hole where the light gets in, and that's the aperture. So the bigger the aperture is, the bigger the hole, the more blurry the background. So aperture with a low value, like 1.4 or 1.8, will blur the background a lot more. So that's what I look for when I look for a camera for me to like take pictures or to go live. I always look at this one thing, like how big is the sensor? What lenses can I use with it? Because there are some cameras where you cannot change the lenses. But I'm a photographer, so that's why I'm thinking like that. And does the camera have a clean HDMI output? So if you're planning to connect through HDMI, and an HDMI converter, then choose a camera with a clean HDMI output. I recommend if you're on the cheap, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, then you can get like the Canon SL3, which is a $500 camera, or the Canon M200 or the Canon M6 Mark II. So those are like the cameras that support clean HDMI out. The Canon M50 does not support clean HDMI out. Don't get that camera. But there's a new version coming out, or just came out at the moment. It's M50 Mark II, and that supports clean HDMI out. So you can use those cameras to connect your camera to your computer, and you can also use the audio if you connect like a microphone to your camera, and it'll be supported through usually supported through the HDMI cable. So that's one good thing to look at. A camera with clean HDMI out, with a large sensor, with a big aperture, like a lens with a large aperture, and those are the things I look for when buying a camera, and put it in manual mode. So if you have lighting that doesn't change, it's always good to put the camera in manual mode so you have more control over the camera. I suggest put it in 1/30th of a second. You probably have NTSC, right? And also change the white balance to manual too. If your lighting doesn't change, dial the white balance in. There's usually like a setting called white balance. You can put that to the sun if your lights are on daylight. And then also dial in the aperture, because if you're in manual mode, you can like put everything onto manual. So dial in the aperture, open that wide up. So go down to 1.8, 1.4, 2.0, something like that. So the less the number, the bigger the hole in the lens. So that gives you more background blur if you want background blur. If you want everything to be like in focus, because sometimes you'll need that, then just close the aperture down, and then everything will be in focus with your camera, or get a camera with a small sensor. So those are the things I look for when buying a camera. And don't forget to get a power adapter so your camera doesn't die on you when you're on a live stream. So get one of those. They cost like $30, but if you want the original Canon one, you're about $150 with that one. But that's one I got.
Right. So a little clarification there. Some cameras don't allow to charge the battery while their camera is operating. And so what you need is a demi battery power adapter. So it's basically a fake battery that plugs into the power. So that's one option. Other cameras allow you to plug in and charge at the same time. It just depends. A little tip I have here as well, on top of what you said, is for me it's important to actually have autofocus, and because I would do things like show something up here and all of that kind of stuff like you did before, but I noticed something which I read in the reviews, and now I see as a total issue. And if you notice, before my camera stopped working, it took me a bit to figure out. It was really just the connector cable there, the little mini HDMI. It's a very flimsy connection by definition. The mini HDMI is just a tiny little connection there, and the cable is big and heavy, right? So if I'm moving something around and this wire just moves with it, it'll just bend or move and disconnect. And so so that's something to look into as well, is that if when you're buying the camera, make sure maybe I'm going to get something that'll hook that together a bit better, fasten the cable to maybe a plate or something before it meets the camera. So if the it won't keep pulling out of the camera. And another thing it might do is the boom itself. This boom is a cheap boom I got on Amazon, and it doesn't hold the weight very well. Doesn't support the weight. It gets kind of and the pressure from the cable will just kind of slowly move the camera over, will just twist it, or the boom might sink slightly, or if I touch the table, it might shake. So those little things that are around the camera, pay attention to. But I think, yeah, Mark, you nailed the big issues, which is clean HDMI, and yeah, an ability to replace lenses, etc.
Yeah, on autofocus, like you said, there are different kinds of autofocus. I look for eye tracking, because there's face tracking and there's eye tracking. And you need to look for a camera that has continuous autofocus in movie mode. Some cameras don't have autofocus in movie mode, like the older ones. They only autofocus in picture mode. So you'll need a camera that has continuous autofocus in movie mode, and that has like face tracking, face recognition. And even better, if you have one that has like eye tracking, or that's even better, because it tracks your eyes. Because the ones that only have face tracking, they track your face, but sometimes your eyes are out of focus depending on how much depth of field you have. So I get a camera with continuous autofocus in movie mode, and with a face tracking, at least face tracking or eye tracking. And about about mounting your camera, you can get a Manfrotto Magic Arm if you want to, or cheaper variants. And there's also in the Elgato website, they have like this table mounts, like the one they use for the key light. They have that for the camera too. So if you can mount it on your desk, you can like use one of those Elgato table mounts. I don't know what they're called. And there's also one from Rode. It's about $18. It's for your mic, to put your mic on your table, and it's weighted, so it's like doesn't fall off. And you can like put like a mount on there, and that's where you can put your camera. So most cameras have a 1/4 inch thread, and all you have to do is like put like a camera mount on there. Like it's also like about $18, and then put that on top of the weighted tabletop mount, and then you're good to go. So that won't go anywhere, and it's weighted, or just get one of those clamps.
Yeah, and yeah, great. Yeah, exactly. Great little tips there. And I think it's stuff that you learn from experience. And this is exactly the kind of stuff that we want to highlight on the show. Is that only people like Mark will who've gone through this will know to tell you. And usually, when you go to YouTube, etc., and those videos are dominated by affiliate links. So the motivation of what to recommend is really not always the little details that make a big difference. It's just like, what should you buy? Go buy it and give me my commission. Vicky points out something really cool, and she says, "Yeah, you don't have to go that crazy. You can do really simple stuff and still have a great show if you have a good lighting and a good background." And that's completely true. This particular show today is for people who are a bit nerdy and a bit geeky about all this stuff, get excited, and we want to dive deeper and do crazy stuff, but you really don't have to. And like I always say, match the quality of the content with the quality of your gear. So if your content isn't good enough, you're not going to save that by buying like fancy equipment. You need to get work on the content first, and then as you get better content, get better gear. What else do we have here? Maybe we're past time, but we'll take another maybe minute or two. Yeah, a list of recommendations. Do you have anything on your website for this that maybe that people can download?
Sure, I'm working on that now. I'm working on a revised version of that. So that'll be on this week. But you can actually go to my website. You'll probably link it down below if you want to, and you'll see like there's something else going on there at the moment, because I'm launching my course. So if you want to learn all this stuff, you can yeah, just go to my my website at the moment, and just take a look at the page. I got the description of what the course is going to be. At the moment, it's a founding members launch, so it's pretty cheap to come in, and it's 5 week support, and you'll learn everything I know about setting up your studio. Well, but what I do recommend is just to keep it simple when you're beginning. Like start with one light, and you can get the Elgato key lights if you they're really good. So I have lights that cost like multiple $1,000s, and because I do this like on a job, and I have like I don't know how many lights I got at home, but it's like a whole room maybe. And the main lights I use for streaming or for recording my videos are the Elgato key lights because I love them a lot. They're like they look great. They look great in the living room, and they don't get hot, and you can change the color temperature. The only thing I don't like about them is that they don't have a switch, but they recently brought out a new light. It's called the Elgato ring light. I haven't bought that yet, but that one has a switch. So they listened to their customers and they said they need a switch because I need a switch too, to just turn it on and turn it off, because the normal Elgato key lights, you need to turn it off by connecting it to Wi-Fi, but you can turn it off from your phone or from your iPad or anything that's connected to your Wi-Fi. So that's pretty cool if you have the app. So that's on lights. I can give you a few lighting tips later on if you want to, if we still have time, where to like place your lights and the different lighting conditions, because I'm a painter too. So I actually do my lighting from what I know from painting.
Yeah, I think we'll take that another show because we're
Sure.
big past time, and in fact I'm late for a meeting that I should have been
Oh,
at.
okay, yeah, sure.
So we'll definitely follow up. And guys, I know a bunch of you mentioned in the comments that you also have lists of equipment. Feel free to post them here in the comments. We'll have more people on the shows with their own recommendations. Everybody has their own, and so we posted Marc's link there. I'll post it one more time in case people want to check it out. And thank you, Marc. This was really, really awesome. A lot of great tips here, and it was just amazing to have all of your information brought in. Join us next week. We will have more discussion. Next week, it's going to be more about producing, how to produce a show, how to manage a show, and that kind of technology that allows for that. Thanks again, everybody, and see you next week.
Happy birthday. Bye-bye.